Hey everyone, I'm back. I'm sure you might be wondering, Liv, what happened? Where have you been? And the short version is a lot of life happened. And as I'm sure you know, sometimes when major events happen, it can be disruptive and you really have to focus in on the matter at hand and let some things go. And unfortunately, one of the things I had to pause on for a while was this channel. And unfortunately, that came right in the middle of the series I was doing of interviewing Michigan founders. But not to worry, I still have those interviews coming for you. It's actually starting with this video. We're going to be talking to Amirika Richardson. Oh God. Hey, hey everyone, I'm back. I'm sure you might be wondering, Liv, where have you been? What happened? And the short version is a lot of life happened. And as you know, sometimes life events occur that you, hey everyone, I'm back. I'm sure you might be wondering, Liv, what happened? Where have you been? And the short version is a lot of life happened. And unfortunately, I had to step away from the channel while I focused in on some personal matters. So while I was dealing with disruption in my life, that also caused a disruption in the series we were doing in May, interviewing founders based here in Michigan. I do still have 3 incredible interviews with Michigan-based founders that will be coming out over the next few weeks, so you will not miss out on a thing. And those videos are going to kick off again in just a moment with my conversation with Amirika Richardson. Just a quick disclaimer before the video begins. You'll notice that there is some strangeness with my audio in the beginning of the video. It only affects my audio. Amirika's audio comes through nice and clear, and she does most of the talking. And like any good sound tech, I was able to troubleshoot in real time, so my audio clears up in just a few minutes. So without further ado, here's my interview with Amirika. I hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you next time. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We are continuing with our series of entrepreneurs based right here in Michigan. This one's a special one. We have an entrepreneur that's based out of Lansing, my hometown, 517 Stand Up. So very much looking forward to this conversation. Today I'm joined by Amirika Richardson. She is the founder and chief brand and workforce empowerment officer of Made in America, MIA for short. After years of leading career and education initiatives across the Lansing community, America made the bold transition into entrepreneurship to expand her impact beyond systems and into personal transformation. So now she works with businesses, leaders, and youth to develop strong brands, create meaningful opportunities, and connect passion to real pathways. Welcome, America. So glad to have you on the channel.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to talking with you.
Absolutely. So we'll just start off with giving you some time to give a quick intro about yourself, tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to making MIA.
Absolutely. So I've spent years in career and education spaces. I worked for a local college teaching business and marketing and management, everything from professionalism all the way down to project management. I guess I can't say down, that's an up level, but just teaching students different aspects of business and getting them prepared. We worked at a trade school for years, so I enjoyed that fast-paced learning environment and also building out things that were hands-on and interactive to make sure that that learning was comprehensive. So I've been blessed enough to be able to bring that model to Michigan Works. I was there as a career coach and kind of built a couple programs throughout the years and ended up in their career and education, what they call their CEAC, which is their Career Education Advisory Council. And I became the director for that program and being able to go into several different schools throughout the region, over 16 schools, as well, and including our educational partners, which are MSU, LCC, forming partnerships with Central Michigan and our local colleges for students to understand pathways to careers. So I did that for, oh my gosh, the past 5 years has been career and education related, but my whole life has been that. And that's kind of how I got here, just being able to see that employers need a little more. They need a little more help understanding the generation and what they're missing, those gaps. It used to be back in the day, we had take your daughter, take your son to work days. And so they got to experience the career, and those are great. But how do we connect those pathways to employments to really amazing places right here in Lansing? We are seeing so many youth that are leaving the state, going to great places. We're not going to shade on them, but there are some great spaces here, and we need that impact if we want to keep our economy strong. So that was like my heart, my passion was like, how can I connect careers and employers in a meaningful way and show them processes and strategy that are able to not only get their name recognized, but also to help those students say, I could do that, but I can also change the way that this is being done into a better process. So we want that talent, right? We want that possibility in Lansing and throughout our region and hopefully throughout our state. So I'm starting here, but I'm hoping to expand further out.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, talk a little bit about the business, how you're going about accomplishing that goal of stopping that brain drain from happening from Michigan and ultimately throughout the state.
Absolutely. So the one of the things that I say, and that's why I say I'm a brand strategist, because I look at the process and what you're doing currently with the brand, and I say, you could have interns, you could have, employer visits, you could have one day where you just spend with students and give them the opportunity to experience what you do, but also take that feedback and say, you came for a day, what did you think? And I find that when you have children or anyone that's in a younger space that's never done what you do, the feedback is so powerful. Process improvement happens because they've never seen this before. They don't have any reservations. They're going to say it the way they need to say it. And things are powerful when it comes from their perspective. So we talk about that. How can we implement a strategy so that you can work with different generations, different backgrounds, and how can we relate to them in a way that's real so they can see themselves in this role one day? And what will
Mm.
that look like for you now and in the future? And so we look at the current process and say, what can we adjust? How can we fix it? Do we need to redo this? Here are some suggestions. And that's my favorite part of the job, because sometimes it's not just about youth. Sometimes it's something that they've had an issue with for the past 10 years with an older generation. And I can say, well, the problem is technology has changed. And how are we upskilling? And here are some resources that you can access that you're not realizing is there. So that's the strategy part of it, right? That's a very complex part, because that could just be daily process. But then when you talk about empowering our youth now to enter into the space, and we don't just mean the ones that are graduating MSU and LCC and U of M. We're talking about the ones that are coming out of high school, the ones
Right.
that are right now sitting in middle school. They don't understand why they're there each day. We want to connect those moments now so they know this is why you're going to algebra class. This is why you're going
Mhm.
down to calculus. This is why you need health science. We want them to see those every day replicated in the classroom. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah, absolutely.
the empowerment part.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. And just for reference, we're like I said, this is a Michigan focused May. So MSU, Michigan State University, LCC, Lansing Community College, U of M, University of Michigan, go Blue. Uh, but this is really fantastic. I have loved doing this series and love interviewing you and getting to meet everyone that I've met through various channels, and it just shows what entrepreneurship can mean and how many different ways that could look, right? Like each one of these interviews, everyone is doing something so different, and the business looks so different, but it all comes from a place of like a personal trial or a personal need that you saw that being that person that you wished you had when you were at whatever stage of life and not only making that solution but making a business out of it. So I'd love to hear a little bit about what that's like for you, like the lessons that you've learned in your entrepreneurial journey. What has happened that you expected and what's happened that surprised you.
I think the biggest surprise was leaving my full-time job as a career and education director that I loved. Okay, let me get this straight. I loved that position, and I was just like, I'm doing all the things, I'm creating things, I'm building things. I mean, why would I leave? But I'm also very limited in, the type of grant that I can work on. I'm limited sometimes with the type of employers. I'm not always able to go into churches. There are areas that I have to kind of stay within because we work with certain sectors. And by me going private and doing my own thing and being able to branch out a little bit allows me to meet a deeper need that I kept seeing. And I kept saying, I want to do this, but I don't necessarily have the means of doing that right now. And a person that was very wise said, if you see a problem and you know how to fix it, do it, and you'll always be paid well. And
Mm.
so far, that has served me well. And so I said, you know what? We've always wanted to have our own thing. It's time. Why not do something that's going to impact your community, elevate the people that you work with, and allow businesses to have an even deeper connection with a pipeline that's coming in, but also they're building a future pipeline so they never have to worry about retention services because you are now retaining and you got those people that you are hiring are talking to other people and bringing them in. That's what we want. We want that impact to spread throughout the entire community. So when I saw
Right.
that was something that I think I do very well, build those connections and partnerships, and working with the youth is my favorite thing to do. Well, that's my company. That's my company is the people here in Lansing. Everything that they need, it happens at this age, and it just you keep building upon it, right? And so that's been the
Absolutely.
blessing of starting entrepreneurship. So I never expected to leave my company. This was just I saw it, I'm going for it, and I'm riding on it until the wheels fall off. Which that will mean that I'm doing bigger and better. If the wheels fall
There you
off, that
go.
means a whole new problem came up that we needed.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's actually a really great segue into the next series of questions. After we do a little intro, I dive deeply into the specifics of the industry of whoever I'm talking to. And yours is so interesting because you have this sort of like advisory business. And so, like, you are in the business of making the business better. And that is a really unique area to operate in as a business owner. So, um, when we think about like the large companies, the people that, to your point, don't have that issue with talent retention or talent acquisition, they understand the importance of brand recognition and reputation. But small companies, especially ones that are maybe just starting out, just starting to kind of pick up speed, that's that tends to be a little deprioritized, right? As they're figuring out their market or revenue. So, how do you challenge that mindset to encourage them to establish their brand early on in their journey?
It is a challenge sometimes because when you're a small business owner, you're doing all the things. You're doing your own marketing, you're doing everything, your payroll, it's all on you. And so I have to first say, let's have coffee, let's talk, let's have lunch, because that's the thing we don't do. We don't take care of ourselves because we're taking care of everybody else. So
Right.
let's have lunch and let's talk. And then I explain in that time frame of let me come in and set up what your internship looks like. Give me a day to observe what you do and see what's happening around there. And then I will do the paperwork for you. I'll show you how you have to communicate with a U of M or an MSU or an LCC. And I'll show you what that looks like so that you have all that stuff ready to go so that when that paperwork comes in, you're just checking boxes. And then I build you a dashboard. Your dashboard's where you put all the information. It's how you communicate with the student. And that's where you really have the value because you're not doing all that back end stuff on your own. And
Mm.
once you have the blueprint, you realize this only takes me an hour out of a month to keep track
Mm.
of one person that's going to free me up to do things. Yes, because they're going to learn and they're going to go. And if you give them a little autonomy and allow them to build the process themselves, they're going to make your process better and they're going to tell their friends about it. And guess what? You're going to have constant people wanting to sign up for an internship with you. It's all you have to do is treat them like they need to be treated with respect, communicate, and be upfront. I tell our business owners if you know that you're not good at communication, tell them that.
Mm.
I'm awful at communication, but I need you to sign in here, do this, give them that. And I can build that out for you so you're not having to say all the things. We can make a manual for your student to come in. And then once they're in, and you now have them working with you, you'll see, maybe a future employment option for them within you because they've become a part of your company. So it might take a little bit of investment in time, but it's an easy process. That's what we do. We make it easy for you. We look at what you do. I spent years working on assignments for students to understand complex careers. I can
Mhm.
teach them how to come into your daycare. I can teach them how to come into your coffee shop. I can teach them how to come into your tax company and show them simple things they can start doing to alleviate your stress, but also teach them a little bit about what you do and how you impact your community.
That's fantastic. What's your average length of engagement with a business owner?
I can say it never stops.
Okay.
Some
Okay.
of the business owners that I started working with years ago, we're still very close because you're always going to need students, and there's things that's going to come up along the way. Your business is going to grow, your processes are going to change. You might have to call me back in, you might need me for something. And I like to be an all encompassing resource. I've worked in several workforce systems, so it means I know so many resources. So if I see something that I think is powerful for you and your team, I'm going to bring it in. I'm not just for small businesses, I'm for big business too. I can do those trainings that you need for your employees. I spent a few years working as a retention coach for Michigan Works. And because of that knowledge that I have from teaching and being in the school system, I understand people. I understand work environments. And so that's something that's another powerful piece, that if you need to do trainings, you need something that are one offs for you, you'll never not have my contact. I'm here.
Wow.
If I'm not the
That's
trainer that's going to fit, I probably know one, because there's a lot of people that are in the consultation space. The only thing that I can say about me and the benefit and what my superpower is that I'm very niche in the fact that I love bringing people together. And I love the fact that I'm also able to see your process and say, this is why that's not working. And I have no qualms about telling you what things that could improve that process. I'm not working for you, I'm working with you. And that's a different, powerful piece. I want to see you do well. I want you to succeed, because if you succeed, that only testifies to the process of things that I can do and proves that my powers are real.
right. I love that. I'm not working for you. I'm working with you. And I think you really um, encapsulated that well. What you said, you're more than just providing this kind of one-time consultation and implementation service. You're really providing this wraparound talent acquisition and retention ecosystem partner offering, which is incredibly valuable. And to your point, at whatever scale of business. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's sort of this evergreen offering that is able to grow and flex and expand as the needs of whatever company does the same. So with the youth, like we're thinking, I guess when we think about you, or I'll speak for myself, when I think about youth, I think about Gen Z, but Gen Alpha, they aren't babies anymore. They're coming up and will be entering the workforce very soon if they aren't already there.
They're there.
Um, that's wild. I can't even think about that.
No,
That's too much. I'm not that old. But what have you found in your experience that most recruiters and talent agencies get wrong when they try to appeal to these younger generations?
I will be honest and say that they're not trying to appeal.
Mm,
I think we are trying to provide that, encompassing, diverse, equitable, respect, fairness. We say all the right things, but we sometimes don't get ourselves on their level and listen to where their mindset is and see how we can take that and say, okay, this is different from what I'm used to, but different's not bad. Different
mm,
just needs to go here so that I can be able to learn from them. So we stop learning and we start doing this language model of careers. I call it a career language. And we want everyone to speak that language. And that's great. But everyone doesn't speak that language, but everyone is still valuable and still deserves a piece, right? So I think that's the first thing, is unlearning some of the bad behavior that we've kept on doing for so long. And I'm not going to say it was bad. I'm going to just say it doesn't always fit for different languages. I think that we should be a little bit more open and seeing where someone is and willing to bring them along. You have a powerful thing. You have veterans that have been around for a long time, that understand process, they understand how things move, how they work, and they have the opportunity to give that to the next generation, right?
mhm,
If you can marry the two, then you have a very powerful company that moves together, knowing that we're not pushing you out of the way, and we need you still, right? You have a very valuable thing to offer, but now I have to bring you along so that you're able to relevant yourself with our different backgrounds and our customer base, right? We want to make sure that you're speaking our company language, which is
mm,
one universal language at that point. What's
right.
our culture? What's our company? How do we both get there? And I think when we start thinking of us versus them, and we see this is the we, then it becomes like a beautiful thing where it's less of that tension back and forth. It's less of that, they're taking my job or they don't know what they're doing. Yeah, that's the truth. They don't know. You do. So, and then there's things you don't know. So that's why we have to learn together. They teach me things all the time. I'm like, what? We're doing what now? Okay. But yes, Gen Alphas are running businesses. They're starting some of their corporations online. They're using AI to run companies. I have a 13-year-old right now that is trying to run a babysitters club type business online.
Wow.
I mean,
Wow.
it's just amazing the way that they think through things, and it blows my mind of how powerful they think. But if we discount it and say that will never work, then we won't see the possibility. She's running an online platform that connects people to different churches in the area with different babysitter times and days for drop-in care.
Wow.
How powerful is that? A
That's
13-year-old.
incredible. That is incredible. And yeah, because you think about these younger generations, especially Gen Alpha, they were practically born with a screen in their hand, right? Like everything is digital first. We as millennials are the last generation that kind of remembers both worlds, you
Yeah.
know? And it's interesting just like hearing you talk about this, and I'm thinking about the beginning stages of my career when millennials were entering the workforce and all of the things that they were saying, like, oh, they're lazy and they want all of this free time. And it's like, well, we just aren't willing to give every waking moment to an organization in return for not enough pay, right? Like we we value being a whole person, and that drove a lot of the changes that we saw that equipped the economy to, in a lot of ways, be able to transition as easily as it did during COVID, right? Like, if imagine if there weren't already this cultural shift that were happening in workplaces, and COVID happened, we'd be in ruin. We'd be in ruin, and so why wouldn't we expect each generation to continue to push that forward, especially when it comes to technology, right? So I can imagine that being a really big sticking point for some of the tried and true stalwarts, right? And those companies are like, we've done it this way, it's worked, and I don't want you coming in here and rocking the boat. But that's how progress is made in all aspects of society. So why would the workplace be, exempt from that?
I wish I could bring you everywhere with me just to say that before I walk into the room. Because
Yeah. Well, I mean, this my superpower is being able to kind of like step into a scenario and understand all of the different elements and how they work together, and the systems thinking of it, which is why I love talking to entrepreneurs, because I it's almost too easy for me to get hyped up about your business, but it's what I love to do, so this is
that
super cool.
keep it coming.
Right. So, in the vein of, pushing the envelope forward and allowing the newer generations to have their voice and have their influence, and kind of flipping that around from the other side of the table, for someone like me, like I don't have kids, I don't directly work with kids a lot, or even young adults. What are some kind of outside the box opportunities that exist for us to like pour into the next generation and kind of have that exchange of information and ideas?
The biggest thing that I've seen people do, and you don't need a me to do this is free knowledge for anyone, is to start partnerships with your local districts. If you have a district that you came from that you love and you're just like, I am a golden wildcat, I'm making this up, through and through, then
Someone
that's
out there is represented.
I want you to say, listen, how can I get in touch with that career development, coordinator, learning coworker, whatever it may be, and get me in that classroom with those students. Here's
Mm.
two things that it does. One, it gives a teacher a chance to say, hey, if I need a sick day or I need just a break, I might be in the classroom with you, but I just need lesson time. You're coming in talking about what you do. And who doesn't like to talk about themselves? Come on now. Who doesn't like to share a little bit of their life? Talk about what you do, and then just talk to the kids, find out what they want to do, and see if you can make some connections. The second thing it's going to do is now you've given back to your community.
Mm.
You've done something that potentially could lead to them choosing their next career path or saying, I don't want to do that. You're helping them shape, grow, build. Because what's going to happen is we're going to sit down with the career counselor when we graduate and we're going to say, this is what I need to do. And they're going to say, well, you should do this, this, or this. But I don't want to do that. Well, what do you want to do? Well, I don't know. My uncle did this, my aunt did this, I got a friend that does this, and that's what they're going to choose. But if you come in and talk about what you do and why you love it and why you do it and how you do it, you're giving them a glimpse of something that they probably have never seen before, or hearing it in a way that they've never heard it before because it's your personal passion. So that is one of the most powerful out of the box things you can do. And if you want and you can bring something in to showcase, you've just blown up the entire system by allowing them to see how what they're learning becomes relevant to what you do. And if you don't know how to bring something in, that's where you call me, because I've done that. I've built curriculums, I've built programs. I can bring you a fun activity and say, okay, this is the part you should share, and let them try it.
That's amazing. And
Fast, fast.
sorry, Roger. Absolutely. And, hey, I'm a witness. America and I have talked about this offline, but shout out to Junior Achievement. For those of you who are not aware, this is a national organization that provides opportunities for K through 12 students to learn about career placement, about entrepreneurship, and about financial literacy. And I have had the honor of serving as a volunteer with the Southeast Michigan branch of Junior Achievement a few times, and I'm coming back for more. The kids haven't run me off yet. I got to do a classroom on career readiness, and I got to do like a finance park with the kids where we kind of walk them through all of the different elements of a budget that they need to consider, and they as they go into their adult life, right? Everything from gas in your car to insurance to housing, groceries, travel, and childcare, like all those things, and just that kind of help them get that heads up of being responsible with money and knowing the value of a dollar in a way that is freeing for them and not oppressive as it is for most of us when we're just thrust out there into adulthood. So, again, that is more on the career and finance tilt, which is certainly where I live, but I'm sure that there are other organizations that exist for other verticals, or hit up America. And I'm sure she'll be able to put together a package for you, and you can compensate her appropriately for her services.
And just because you brought up that point, like Susan Chilton is the one director for the Lansing JA, and she's wonderful. So I'm throwing her name out there. Look her up. Please email her if you're interested in a career speaker day. I've done several events for her. The Girls Dream Fair. I mean, there's so many things that JA is a part of that I just was like, I can't name everything. But she's right. If you don't want to build anything and you want a ready-made class that you can just go into, JA also offers those opportunities as well. So just by having that connection alone, it's a powerful piece. But just remember, it's so important that when you're in those spaces and you're doing their curriculum, you're still sharing your story. You got to make those connections. Otherwise, it just becomes curriculum, right? We got to make sure that, and that's the things that I talk about, making sure that you're bringing you, showing up as yourself.
Right. Absolutely. It does matter. And I think I was a little afraid when I first showed up that they're gonna be like, who is this old lady, talking about money? But and there were some kids who did not want to be there, and you're gonna get that. But most of the kids did, and they were interested and engaged and curious, and you could just see the doors opening in their mind and the wheels turning, and it was incredibly rewarding. So, I second that. Find ways to get involved. You never know what type of impact you can make in a young person's life.
Yeah, my favorite story to tell to connect that for you too is
Yeah.
I'm in one of the classrooms right now. I just ended with them, and it's beautiful. When I first came, they barely wanted to look up. Some of them were asleep. We went through elevator pitches, resumes, careers. We went through all the things, right? And I would come back every week. I'm sorry, I would come back every month. I'd come back one time every month. And it was funny that each time I started coming back, they started to go, she's back. Wait, she came back. So if you have students that are falling asleep, that are looking like they're not interested, I guarantee you you're getting something. One kid, I won't say his name, he knows who he is. I'm going to send this to him. Was asleep every time I was in the classroom, would never raise his head. And she's like, "You not going to get on his case?" I said, "No." And you made a choice. They get to choose if they want to listen to you. That's the first thing we have to understand. We're learning from them, right? They're
Mhm.
choosing. Let them choose. If they don't want to hear it, that's fine. Well, I had them get up to do elevator speeches, and I brought in some employers for them to pitch to. And this kid got up and did the most amazing elevator pitch I have ever seen from a youth in my life. I
Wow.
mean, knocked it out of the park, and then sat down and laid right down. I was like, "I'm so proud of you." I'm in tears. I can't believe how good you did. And he's like, "I hear everything you say. I'm listening."
Mm.
And then my last week told me that he found a job. And I was like, "Okay." Because you don't know what's happening at home. It's a lot of life
Mhm.
going on. So now I let them be because I learned. They're still soaking it up. And you'll be surprised when I walk into that room now, everyone is like, "She's here. It's time. We're going to learn something about careers. Show up as often as you can." Because if you show up consistently, guess what? When I'm ready to start hiring, I know exactly who I can go to. I know
Right.
exactly who I can share those career funnels to. So, just some other tips for you. Don't give up if they come in and they're like, I don't know what she's doing here. They're learning.
That is a great reminder, I think, for us all, because think about yourself. I'll think about myself when I was a teenager and all types of adults were saying things. And I'm sure, it looked like it was going in one ear and out the other, but I still pull on that wisdom all
Mm,
these years later, and things that a parent or a relative or whoever said to me years ago that wasn't applicable then, but is applicable to my life now. And I'm so grateful, so kid's
mhm.
gonna be all right.
They'll
All right. So
they're a little resilient in that way.
yeah, for sure. It's like that quote from Paradise, babies are built to survive, right?
Feeling that.
All right, it wouldn't be humming the kick drum if we didn't talk a little bit about investments. So let's move over and talk about every founder's favorite part of running their business, asking investors for money. So, have you done any fundraising either for Made in America or another business?
Oh my gosh. So I've done lots of fundraising over my career
I bet
for
you
different type of charitable organizations, but also for career events that we've done with the youth.
have.
So I'm really excited to now be doing it for myself. So I did my first grant and I was like, I got a grant. Yay. That
Nice.
was the first thing. But I mean, we've done it before, right? But it just feels different when it's yours.
Mhm.
So yeah, the ways that I see myself fully operating, and I'm just sharing a little bit of my vision, is having an actual youth empowerment center where I have a place where youth can come to and do these classes, but also do other classes, learn about the arts, learn about different things, make them cultured in a way, and prevent bringing in their own culture so that we can have a way to speak our language together, letting them
Mhm.
have that freedom. So having that full-time center is what I'm aiming for. It's what I'm working for. I have my business partner who is my husband. He's becoming a full time therapist. He
Mhm.
wants to be a specialist with youth, and that's what he's working towards right now. So he's working in the right now. He's working with the youth that are in the system. They're what do you got? Justice involved. So he's
Mhm.
working with youth that are justice involved and learning what they're going through, so we can help eventually get them into careers and find new meaning to life. And I think that's a powerful piece is making sure that we're getting all youth
Right.
activated and having places where they can have those spaces to talk and share. So by having the youth center, that's our goal. It will allow that those connections to happen and give them a safe place where they can have their language but learn the language of careers and speak together with others. So we're really excited about that. We've also partnered with another young lady who wants to be a part of that venture. She has some wonderful ideas on how to re-engage and activate youth, and it's all about partnership, right? We need that partnership, and so that's the space that I'm thriving to get to. This is just Made in America is just one part until we get to that big youth center where we're all working together.
I love it. I love it. That's amazing. And what a beautiful partnership between you and your husband to be, aligned in your professional mission as well as, in your personal life. That's incredible. That's a gift. So
It's
Because I mean, not everybody gets that. That's a gift. Um, so that is an amazing vision, and it again, it just shows how much just acting on that first idea, solving that first need can open up. Because I'm sure that when you first started, you were really just trying to address one small thing. And as you've allowed yourself to do that, as you've allowed yourself to grow into experiences and expand your own consciousness around what's possible, now you have this much bigger, much all encompassing vision. And you see that a lot with entrepreneurs is it starts as one thing, but there's this organic growth that happens. And not for nothing, that is appealing to an investor, right? Because at the end of the day, we will need to see where this is going to go for us to get our return on our money, right? As much as we may be emotionally impacted by a particular endeavor, there it needs to make dollars and cents too, right?
mm,
Um, so that being said, I talk a lot on the channel about the concept of smart money, right? Like money in and of itself is becoming more and more of a commodity.
mhm.
The value for the investor side is to bring something else to the table besides just money, whether that's contacts or experience or what have you. So when you think about the types of investors that you want, what would make someone smart money for you?
Well, there's an incredible value with partnership. And I think sometimes when we silo, we think we have all the solutions and answers, and that's great. You have some, I agree,
Mm,
but you're missing out on other markets that might have a little bit to add. So, the kind of investors I want are the ones that are saying, hey, I want to partner with you. And that could be as simple as let me share your information with this school or with this educator or with this company that's trying to increase their talent pipeline and figure out what the gaps are. How can we make it better? So I want that kind of partnerships. If you want to donate, if you see a center, if you want to share something that you're like, hey, I really think you need to jump on this opportunity, you can trust that I'm going to go for it if it makes sense for the plan. But I want all the partnerships. I want all of the collaboration. I want people that want to get in and maybe do some work and see areas that they can increase in their knowledge. I'm ever learning, so I don't know it all, but I want to share what I do know so that I can make an impact. And I want the same thing from a type of investor that wants to be around me. So my investment that I really am asking for is time and
mm,
partnership because the rest is going to come, right? The money is going to flow where it needs to flow. We're going to go after the grants that make sense to make sure that this is successful. And I just really, really do value that feedback, that input, that, don't do that. We know someone that can do that. Don't try to do that on your own. We got you. That's what I value. And even if you just want to invest a few kind words and say, America, keep going, because that to me is going to like sit with me in those hard days when I'm doing paperwork and I'm just like, what am I doing this for? No, push the button, keep going, because it's going to impact Marcus, Danielle, Deanna,
mm,
Liz, Cal. Like I see all of that. So I want a safe haven where kids can go. We have gang violence is really high in Lansing right now. It is
mm,
an uptick. And it's a lack of not being able to see where they're supposed to be. I tell
mm,
them, don't be who I tell you to be who you were created to be. And
ah,
that is a powerful piece because it's not the box I want to put you in. It's where do you see yourself being? I'm sorry, allergies are wild. But it's where do you see yourself being? And how can I help you get there? Because if I can help you get where you want to be, guess what's going to happen for me? My my value is going to grow. My
absolutely.
investment's going to increase because my community is going to be better, right? The gun violence is going to go down. The gang violence is going to go down. And then I can work and live in a safe space. So it's so important that we're thinking about the overall impact and not just the return of the dollars, that we're thinking about what's our economy going to look like when we're done so that when I am moving and shaking and trying to spend this money, I have it to be able to do that. But I'm also in a safe space.
Right. And a space that and I love the way that you put that because another thing I talk about on the channel a lot is the idea of collective liberation and communal prosperity. Right?
Mm,
What does it look like for us all to succeed, right? Instead of having these standout successes, we don't need billionaires, right? We need thriving communities. And it can be the exact same resources just redirected in a way that promotes communal prosperity as opposed to individual wealth. I'll go with the word wealth, right? And I think that you just painted a really great picture of what that can look like practically. That was fantastic. Um, so I appreciate your time today, America. We're going to wrap it up here, but one last question before we do. So if someone were starting a business today and they came to you and said, "Would you be my business mentor?" What are the three pieces of advice that you'd give them?
Oh, I'm gonna say, well, I'm very I'm very honest. So
That's what
first,
we want.
you're gonna have to understand that I'm gonna say exactly what I think, but I don't ever mean it from a place of hurt. It's always from a place of love because I want to see you win. So I'm gonna say all the things, but at the same time, I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader. So yes, I will partner with you, but I'm going to say all the things. I'm going to call out the process. I spent some time in different spaces working with, equitable and fair processes. I'm currently an equality and fairness chair for our county. So with me, it's huge that we are treating people with communication, participation, and respect. And if we don't have that model in our mind, then I won't work with you because I'm very honest about what that looks like.
Right. That's Listen, that is a gift in and of itself. Someone who can, cut and heal at the same time, right? Someone who can save you from greater pain down the road by giving you a little bit of pain right now, or probably more discomfort than pain. Like
Yeah.
that, you can't ask for more than that from a mentor. That's incredible.
I want the
Um,
same feedback. I want you to be honest with me. I want you to tell me if I'm wrong. I want to, the whole point is ever learning, never stop.
Absolutely. And you might want to check America out because she's been dropping gems for free
Yeah.
this entire interview. So only imagine what it would be like if you partnered with her organization. So that said, America, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you or stay up to date on what you're doing?
So we do have madeinamerica.com. That's where I post and put all of our stuff as well. I'm on LinkedIn. I try to post weekly and I do have a newsletter. So if you tell me you want to be a part of the newsletter, I will happily add you and share out all of the successes and the fails because I believe in sharing the fails so that you can see what not to do.
Fantastic. I will make sure to include links to all of those in the description. I'll also drop links for Junior Achievement, whether you're in Michigan or wherever you are in the country, so you can get plugged in with that organization and the great work they're doing. America, thank you so much for being with us here today. I have immensely enjoyed this, and I know that the audience out there is going to as well.
Yay, we hope.
All right. Thank you so much. Take care.
Bye bye.